Well, here we are. It's a Sunday evening, and I thought I'd talk about the Dungeon Master's Guide, particularly because this book, you would think upon buying it that it tells you exactly how to run a game, deal with the players. In a sense, it does, but not in the sense that I expected when I bought it. And they talk about this being the big three with Monster Manual and PHB. This is kind of left on the sidelines for me, unless there is a very particular magic item, usually. We'll get to it. We'll go through it because I'm going to bring up the PDF version. Okay. The DMG, right. As I say, I'm curious to look because this is its final year, and maybe there's some good stuff in there that I really don't use enough. And hey, maybe you will have opinions on it, and maybe not. Maybe you own it, maybe you don't. So let's sort this out so I know what I'm doing. Go on here. Right, how to use this book. I am curious what this actually says. So it's organized in 3 parts. Right, Master of Worlds. Even if you're using an established world, your campaign takes place in a mirror universe of the official setting. Yeah, okay. So you're going to explain about worlds, then adventures, and then the rules? Does the rules last? I don't know. That strikes me as unusual. But if whatever you say, Wizards of the Coast. Let's go forward a page. Oh, know your players and acting. Right. So it talks about our players. Obviously it's role play based, and I think that puts some people off. I think some new players think of it as LARPing, essentially, where we all dress as wizards, and you can't help but go down that kind of avenue if you start playing this game, because you do become a character, don't you? So engage players who like acting. Give them opportunities to develop their characters. Yes. Allow them to interact regularly with PCs. Add roleplay elements. Yes. Now, it is awkward if you get people who do like being in character and then some who just don't. It's difficult. Exploring, obviously, one of the key pillars. Engage players who like exploration by dropping clues that hint at things to come. Let them find things when they take the time to explore. That's like video gaming, isn't it? The more you explore, the more you want to find cool stuff. I do agree with that. As you know, I hate an empty room or an empty corridor, which seems to they should have had something interesting but doesn't. Instigating. Players who like to instigate action. Allow them to affect their surroundings, including things in your adventure to tempt them, letting their actions put the characters in a tight spot. It's all kind of vague. Fighting. Spring unexpected combat encounters on them. Vividly describe the havoc their characters wreak. I mean, I don't know how I would write it better. I wouldn't. That's something I probably do know. Optimizing. Yeah, ensuring steady access to new abilities and spells. Now, I do like the way that we don't necessarily milestone all the time and we don't XP all the time. More often than not, at level 1, we'll play 1 week at level 1. We'll play 2 weeks at level 2, no matter what's going on in game. And this tends to work along with a lot of books. apart from, I noticed, Descent into Avernus. You level up almost every week at times. At least my players did. Problem solving. Yeah, we want puzzles, don't we? Creating NPCs with complex motives. Yeah. Storytelling. Well, obviously, that's a given. So, a world of your own. Where do we start here then? Your world is a setting for your campaign. The big picture and core assumptions. Gods. I mean, yeah, it starts off really wide scape, doesn't it? It's overwhelming. It's like world, universe. Maybe it should have started with, I would probably say, rules first, and then building a city, a village, something like that. Yeah, gods. I don't think I've ever read this chapter. There are so many gods. Asmodeus, whichever you want. Sort of overseas hell. Does it break these down one by one? I don't think it does. Is that literally all we find about Asmodeus? Well, we'll find out. Bahamut, god of justice. Yeah, Bane. Corellon. Yeah, there's so many just there. Vecna, obviously. Tiamat. Raven Queen. Yeah. You can invent your own. Or you can steal from other things. Of course you can. But how much should a god interfere in the game? It's hard to say. Because it's not a case of do gods exist. Everyone in the world, in Faerun, Forgotten Realms, they know there are gods and they know that they do exist. So that really is an interesting choice. And may not be for everyone. But how much do they play? Maybe it says in this divine rank bit. Greater deities beyond mortal understanding and can't be summoned. They're greater, right? Lesser deities embodied somewhere in the planes. Others live on the outer planes. Loth does in the abyss. Such deities can be encountered. Quasi-deities have a divine origin, but they don't hear or answer prayers. They are immensely powerful beings. And then demigods. Yeah, that's when it gets mixed. Titans. Divine creations of the deities. Interesting, I like the Trask then. Oh, monotheism, dualism. I mean, I am tuning out. I can see why I didn't bother reading it. There's some great lore in D&D, but it's not my jam. Mapping your campaign. Straight away, look at this example at the top. Daggerford and all that beautiful art, but wowzers. You have to, that's like saying you have to create a massive world first in order to get down to the tiny village. How big is the settlement? Who lives there? What does it look like? Smell and sound like? Okay. What is the purpose? Again, that's not the bit that interests me in D&D. I just want the players to have our village and be able to run around in it. Adventure site, a village harboring a secret cult of devil worshippers. Yep, I mean, I've done that. So, a village is about population up to 1,000. Gives you a few ideas. What is in a village? Towns, 6,000. City. I mean, has anyone ever looked up in this book how many? What's the population of a city? It's not dragging me in this part. Maybe you're different. Maybe you thought, yeah, that's fascinating. Government. Forms of government. I don't even know the meaning of more than half of those words. Luckily, it actually tells us. Skip, surely. Currency. The currency. The straightforward term, gold piece. Yep. Doesn't quite say. I wanted to say, a gold piece is equivalent of X dollars, X pounds. That would have been an idea because it's confusing. I find it confusing. Even the silly coins. The factions. Yeah, the main factions. I didn't realize how important these factions were in the game until we played Horde of the Dragon Queen, and then, well, went on to other games and we're like, oh, they're in this as well. They're mentioned all over. Sample faction, the Harpers. Yeah. The Harpers are kind of an undercover organization. And it doesn't really go into all the others, does it? He says, examples of faction ranks. This is just... Yeah. Surely this is the yawny stuff that you skip over at the end. Magic in your world. What normal folk know of magic depends on where they live and whether they know characters who practice magic. Oh, there's another sample faction. They've thrown in the Zentarum there, not put them together. Just bang them in at the bottom of another page. Are we going to get any more of those then? No. Restrictions on magic. Some civilized areas might restrict or prohibit the use of magic. I did once do a town where you weren't allowed to take any weapons in. But this was a pirate town that did carry their weapons themselves. So any adventurers going in there would be stripped of their weapons. And then later on, after running Tyranny of Dragons, magic was almost outlawed. Certainly necromancy. It was pretty much wiped out. But just like in society, there'd always be a pocket of people who practiced it. Creating a campaign. So again, we don't know what the rules are. We don't know how the game works, but we're going to create a campaign. Start small. When you first start building your campaign, start small. The characters need to know only about the city, town, or village, and yet you've just wiped through gods, factions, governing bodies. Create a home base. See settlements page. No, you don't need to. It doesn't matter where they live. That's just the boring bit. Start them on a horseback. Going back to town, unknown town. I'm curious to see what the next iteration of this book is this year. I am excited for that. I'm curious to know if when this came out, it was much more to do with the 3.54e section of players who seem to be much more in depth with rules and stuff. That's really get into the thick of it. They're coming off the back of that. This kind of simplifies things for idiots like me. And perhaps this wasn't as dense for them. They're cleverer people, perhaps. How about that? Create a background. Backgrounds are designed to root player characters in the world. Not necessarily. I mean, I know that's a thing where you're supposed to tie backgrounds into the story, but can I still say I'm a new DM after 18? 6 years? After 6 years, can I still say I'm new to this? People have been playing it for a lot longer than I have, that's for sure. But yeah, I know that backgrounds are meant to be a thing you tie in, but I have enough on with getting all the module stuff in. Campaign events, significant events. Yeah, this is just so deep. World-shaking events. I've not even set up my village and you've got world-shaking events. Leader types. Back to bloody government and crap like that. Cataclysmic disasters. Invading forces. Never have I ever used this stuff. Extinction or depletion. Lost resource. What kind of animal? Oh, Jesus. Tracking time. A calendar lets you record the passage of time. Never needed that. Never needed that. The question, what time of day is it, has come up. And at times, I have tracked that with a paper clip around the edge of a square bit of card. I've wrote 1 to 12 and 13 to 23 to 0, and moved it around this card so that if people do ask that question, I have some semblance of a response. The calendar, no, we're on page like mid-30s now. Okay, what's this? Hack and slash style of play. What does it tell us about this? The adventurers kicking the dirt, as an example. This style of play is straightforward. It's hack and slash. Fair enough. In such a game, the adventurers face clearly evil people. Yeah, all right. No grey areas. Immersive storytelling. Yep. Immersive story. This style of game, the NPCs are complex and as richly detailed as the adventurers. Yeah, that's good. Something in between. Well, isn't that the ideal way? You've hit it on the head right there. Character names. Okay. Naming characters, yeah. In a group consisting of Sithis, Travok, Anastriana, and Karen, the human fighter named Bob the second sticks out, especially when he's identical to Bob 1, the first, who was killed by kobolds. If everyone takes a light-hearted approach to names, that's fine. Oh, come on. Do you have to do all these stupid names? I mean, players are welcome to, but do I as a DM? Everyone knows Trevor and Frank. You know what I mean? It's fine as my NPCs. Episodic campaigns. Yeah, it's jumping you into this is going to be your Lord of the Rings tiers of play. Local heroes, levels 1 to 4. Characters in this tier are still learning the range of class features that define them, including their choice of specialization. You're nothing at first level. You're barely above commoner. Levels 5 to 10. Adventurers have mastered the basics of their class features, although they continue to improve throughout these levels. Dedicated spellcasters learn 3rd level spells at the start of this tier. Suddenly, characters can fly, damage large numbers of foes with fireball and lightning bolt spells, and even breathe underwater. Yeah, some would say that's the sweet spot. The 5 to 10. A lot of people don't play much beyond 10th level. By 11th level, true paragons, dedicated spellcasters. Yeah, that's where the big meat comes on, and your players just mash through loads of things that you put in front of them. 17 upwards, masters of the world, superheroic capabilities. Characters have rare items and rare weapons. Vorpal sword, yeah. Great though, isn't it? Now I wish they'd make more content up at 20th level myself, so that it's easier for me to run when they get there. Now I know there's things like Tromacratis and the mythic animals, mythic beasts. They are cool, but the stat blocks get bigger and bigger, and it's just very difficult to get in your tiny brain. Starting at high levels, of course. Have you ever started at higher levels? I have. I've done a 20th level one shot very early on because my players wanted to be maxed out, and jumping into a 20th level character, endless notes for them. They didn't have a clue what they just wanted to hit. I hit normally and I do this massive damage. No nitty gritty with it. But this is actually the first thing I can say, yes, that's good. It tells you how much starting wealth for later levels. 17th level, 20,000 gold pieces plus some maths, 2 uncommon magic items, and normal starting equipment. I like that. That is useful. Hopefully, that'll stay in my brain and I know where that is. I could put post-its in it. I'm not going to. Epic fantasy, mythic fantasy, dark fantasy, yeah, intrigue. That seems to be more like what it's pushing at the beginning. Intrigue. What's Wuxia? Wuxia? Oh, it's cool Japanese stuff, is it? Or Chinese? You know, forgive my ignorance. So we'll skip on because I'm out of my depth. Creating a multiverse. I don't know what the rules are. Now I don't know much about the multiverse, the planes, and all that. Although I bought Planescape. You know what? The 9 hells. It's like there's 9 hells, and I don't think it's mentioned. It's not. I don't think there's a map. I'll be surprised if there's a map. That picture of the the levels of hell, because I don't remember seeing it. And I expected something to do with the abyss, like some sort of picture, but the abyss is just so numerous. I don't think they can create a map for it. Inventing your own planes. It's a lot to get your head around, isn't it? It's not new person friendly. The Great Wheel, the World Tree, things that even now my son particularly mentions, and I'm like, huh? Planar portals, planar travel. This is just like I say. I don't touch this stuff. I just wing it, and then have players say, "Well, it doesn't really go there," and it does in my world, boyo. Spells, astral plane, astral projection, psychic wind. Sheesh. So the astral plane then. The astral plane. Thoughts and dreams. Visitors occasionally stumble upon a petrified corpse of a dead god. Like that. Creatures on the astral plane don't age or suffer from hunger or thirst. For this reason, humanoids that live on the astral plane, the Githyanki, establish outposts on other planes, often the material plane, so their children can grow to maturity. So, traveling through the astral plane by the astral projection spell, a character's death causes no actual harm. Only the severing of a character's silver cord can result in the character's true death. I just saw that on Vox Machina, Series 2. Somebody had that happen. Astral colour pools. I mean, if I had to get it right, that's where those are. What's Colour Pool, though? Colour Pool is the... Oh, yeah, Portal, essentially. All right. Okie dokie. I mean, it's kind of interesting for me. And like I say, I'm 6 years into this. Psychic Winds, I have heard, certainly in a podcast. So, yeah, played as Yugoloths, Night Hags, and Demons. Okay, that's the astral plane. The ethereal plane, I think that's like the when Frodo puts the ring on and it goes all black and white. Oh, is that the shadow? That's the shadow realm, isn't it? Let's see what it says. The ethereal plane is a misty, fog-bound dimension. So it's pretty much like what I thought. The plane's depths comprise a region of swirling mist and fog called the deep ethereal. Never knew that. I've learned something. Visibility is 30 feet. Characters can use etherealness spell to the border ethereal. The plane's shift spell allows transport, but unless the intended destination is a specific location or a teleportation circle, the point of arrival could be anywhere on that plane. Huh. The border ethereal. Well, I don't think I've ever read that. From the border ethereal, a traveler can see into whatever plane it overlaps, but that plane appears muted and indistinct, its colours blurring into each other and its edges turning fuzzy. Conversely, the ethereal plane is actually invisible to those on the overlapping planes, except with the aid of magic. But that's just where the ethereal overlaps with stuff. The deep ethereal, roiling mist. So they're all quite misty. Ethereal curtains. Oh, I wouldn't know where to start. Ethereal cyclones. Ethereal plane encounters. Oh. Yes, Feywild. Yes, Feywild is really cool. We need more content. I am running Witchlight after this next, after Strixhaven, which I am just about to start. Fae Crossings. I don't think I'm ever going to need to correctly explain how my Fae characters came to be. A portal, isn't it? Go for a portal. What do you want? Optional rules. Now I'll do like an optional rule. Kidnapped creatures. You can use these optional rules. Are they still to come? Memory loss. A creature that leaves the Feywild forgets. Time warp. Feywild time warp table. Days become minutes. Oh, we interstellar it. Yeah. We interstellar it. Shadowfell. Where is our adventure in the Shadowfell? Probably in an old edition. Let me know. Because I have homebrewed some Shadowfell stuff and had to do a deep dive to make sure I was explaining it vaguely correctly. It's the Plane of Shadow. This is the Frodo ring stuff. It looks just like this world, but it ain't. Almost like the Land of Ghosts. Optional rule, Shadowfell Despair. You get depressed in that. Turn into an emo. Nothing wrong with an emo. Apathy. The character has disadvantage on death saving throws and on dex checks for initiative and gains the following flaw. I don't believe I can make a difference to anyone or anything. That's my impression there. Inner planes surround the material plane. Oh yeah. Elementals. It's the plane of air. Yeah, movement. Lots of wind. Clouds. Labyrinth winds. One such realm is fabled Aqua, a shining domain of silver spires and verdant gardens atop a fertile earth moat. This is not helping me. Even now, it sounds wonderful, but don't know what you're on about. Plane of Earth, the City of Jewels. Plane of Fire, the City of Brass. Yeah, heard of it. But although you sort of say what it is, there's not like locations in or, yeah, nothing that makes me, ooh, this is nice. Now, I have seen this picture before. And it is cool. But I don't look at that and think, oh, I'll run an adventure there. Maybe I should. Because it's overwhelming. I've got to learn not just one thing, but every single thing. So that if someone hops from A to B, I know where it is. Plane of Water. I wouldn't want to go there. My players wouldn't want to go there because me and my son don't like being underwater. Makes our stomachs go over. Yeah, it's losing me. The Outer Planes. Layers of the Outer Planes. Traveling the Outer Planes. Mount Celestia, Bitopia. Now this is all. Oh yeah, this is all what's in the Planescape stuff. Makes sense. Did that say the 9 hells, or just the River Styx? Just the River Styx. Yeah, any creature that touches the River Styx in Avernus for a start is affected by the Feeble Mind spell. Oh, so it goes through. Yeah, that mentions the names of the hells there. But I'm hoping it goes into more detail later. What is the Infinite Staircase? It's an extra-dimensional spiral staircase that connects the planes. An entrance to the Infinite Staircase usually appears as a nondescript door. Beyond the portal lies a small landing with an equally nondescript stairway leading up and down. It changes appearance as it climbs. Wait, what? As it climbs and descends, going from simple stairs of wood and stone to a chaotic jumble of stairs hanging in radiant space. That is cool. But Psychic Dissonance. This is not a great readable PDF either. Mount Celestia, yeah. That's like the goody goodies, isn't it? The real goods. Bitopia. 2 layers of the twin paradises of Bitopia are similar yet opposite. One is tamed, pastoral landscape, and the other an untamed wilderness. Okay, so it does explain Elysium. I shouldn't start reading them out in case there's ones that I can't say. Yeah, but it's like it mentions, and if you're going to mention them, really go into them more than you do in Planescape. It can't be easy, but I want more. I want more details on an easier to use way. The 9 hells, okay, yes, the 9 layers of hell, Avernus, etc. This, okay, goes through them, gives a little bit of detail. Does it have the map? It does not have the map. Modrons, the Outlands. Yeah, don't need this anymore. I wonder if this will be skipped. Sigil. I tell you, what it is it's written like you already know it, and you're looking back to reference it. It does need its own book. The Hells needs its own book. and I would buy it. I would buy it. It's not that I'm not interested. I am interested. Just it skims over it. It's, it skims over it like someone who can't be bothered going into all the details. It's just like, oh, it's really cool. Warhammer 40k, yeah. Oh, and it's telling you a bit of the lore, and you're like, yeah, but what is the Horus Heresy? What are you on about? The File Realm is anything alien, as far as I'm aware. Let's see if part 2 is more useful. Not that one wasn't. It was just like reading Lord of the Rings as a breakfast. So this is the lunchtime section. Creating adventures. Elements of a great adventure. An adventure needs a threat. It might be a singular villain or monster. A villain with lackeys. Lackeys. An assortment of monsters or an evil organization. Yep. Familiar tropes with clever twists. Because you are effectively an author if you're going in from scratch. It is such fun, such greatness that you can create a world. Yes. But it's not really telling you exactly how to, is it? It's just saying, hey, prepare a world. Don't forget the cities. What about the settlements? And who are they? And do some government. And yeah, but I knew that. I knew that before I opened the book, but you hadn't told me how to do it. Useful maps. Drawing maps isn't your strong suit. The internet. Yeah. Published adventures. Yes. I think you should start with a starter set one shot, or however long it takes. Go to a module, and then, my child, you are let off your leash to head into the world of creation. But we still need some written material to help with that birth. The ending encompasses the climax. Yeah, I already knew that. Identify the party's goals. Do I have to, Dungeon goals. Stop the dungeon's monstrous inhabitants from raiding the surface world. Foil a villain's evil scheme. Destroy a magical threat. Acquire treasure. Find a particular item for a specific person. These are all justifiably good. Retrieve a stolen item. Find, retrieve, isn't that the same kind of thing? Find information needed for a special purpose. How vague is this? Do a thing. Oh no. Rescue a captive. Yep. Wilderness goals. Establish trade. Map a new land. Escort a classic. Escort an NPC to a destination. Other goals. Seize control of a fortified location, such as a fortress, town, or ship. These are good. I read that and I think, yes, that could be a campaign. Okay, D20 villain. Let's go 13. A humanoid seeking revenge. A dragon bent on domination even, and plunder. Plunder. A giant bent on plunder. Goddamn plunderers. Adventure allies. A soldier. A disguised monster. A raving lunatic. Patrons. No. While travelling in the wilderness, the characters fall into a sinkhole that opens beneath their feet, dropping them into an adventure location. As good as anything, guys. While travelling in the wilderness, the characters notice the entrance to the adventure location. It's got a big sign over it saying, Adventure Location. The adventurers find a map on a dead body. In addition to the map setting up the adventure, the adventurer's villain wants the map. Wasn't he already there? A stranger approaches the characters in a tavern and urges them towards the adventure location. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Why not? Okay, let's see. Adventure climax. The adventurers confront the main villain and a group of minions in a bloody battle to the finish. Standard, that. 3. The actions of the adventurers or the villain result in a cataclysmic event that the adventurers must escape. Nothing wrong with that either. Traps, hazards, or animated objects turn against the adventurers while the main villain attacks. Yeah, these are okay. Start with a villain. Yes, I agree with that. Determining the villain's actions. Event-based villain actions. Growing corruption. One and done. Don't know. Oh, I would have said then. So yeah, doing a one-off thing. Right, growing corruption. Event-based goals. Bring the villain to justice. Clear the name of an innocent NPC. Overthrow a tyrant. Help a villain find redemption. That is better than kill villain, he be naughty. Determine the villain's identity. I also like that. Yeah. These are hit and miss. It just goes to, it's in the deep end. It's in at the deep end for me. And, they've had so much feedback about the next DMG that I really am hoping this is all ironed out. Intrigue. Framing events. It's an anniversary of a monarch's reign. It's the arrival of a caravan or a ship. It's the birth of a child. Execution? Yeah, that's a good idea. That someone being hung. Maybe they die and we have to find out if they were innocent or something. A procession of ghosts. Signing for a treaty. Yeah, they are good. I could roll on that. I'm quite happy to roll on that. Complications. Ally quandary. Lots of quandaries, basically. Does it say what a quandary is? It does. The adventurers have a better chance of achieving their goal with the help of two individuals whose expertise is all but essential. However, these two NPCs hate each other and refuse to work together. That's like a bad TV program. Twists. What's twist number 5? The adventurers have received false and extraneous information. Now, there's a kind of an unwritten agreement that all information isn't a lie. If you say, yes, people do lie. If the characters were to ask for directions, why would you they wouldn't expect to go very far at the DM's understanding. And it was a lie. They'd be like, come on. You sent us over here and you knew it wasn't the right thing. Don't know. Yeah, unspoken, for sure. Find a specific item room. What was that for? Side quest. Rescue a captive. These are all repeated. Creating encounters. When players don't know what they're supposed to do in a given encounter, anticipation and excitement can quickly turn to boredom and frustration. Yeah, I think you do have to give players a very clear objective. I found that with Avernus. They need to be following the carrot on a string. Then they can go off and do silliness. But when they come back, they need to have a very solid idea of what it is they're working towards. A lot of them would be like, what are we doing? Why are we after him? Why are we going there? My fault, I will say. To stop a ritual, that's classic. Take out a single target. Stands to reason. Combat encounter difficulty. This, what are we now? Near 80 odd pages in. We should have been talking about all this right at the start. In my opinion. An easy encounter doesn't tax a character's resources or put them in serious peril. Medium has 2 scary moments. 1 or 2. But the characters emerge victorious. Hard. A hard encounter could go badly. Weak characters might get taken out. Deadly. Survival often requires good tactics and quick thinking. That makes it sound as it should be. Cool. But XP thresholds break down. I'm thinking challenge rating of monster later on is what I'm saying. That when you work out what your party should be up against, challenge ratings, wild style, things can go off. And I think you get to a point where your monsters just hit until your players start to bleed too much and then drop dead or run. It's just an easier way of doing it. Get the requisite. But you don't want to sometimes let the players know that, because if they're investing all their biggest spells in a monster, going for an official kill, and you're just going to throw it down when you've had enough. They don't want to hear that. They want to earn it. They don't want to think you've just given it. Now, I did look up this when I started Adventuring Day XP. How much XP does a character get just for being alive a day? Well, level 1, 300, and level 3, 1200, and it goes through and on. That is also useful. I have looked it up. Modifying encounter difficulty. Fun combat encounters. Terrain features that pose inherent risks to the character, such as a frayed rope bridge. Brilliant. Pools of green slime. Why not? Yes, terrain features that provide a change of elevation. Stacks of empty crates. Balconies. Perfect. Features that either inspire or force characters to move around. Chandeliers. Kegs of gunpowder and oil. Whirling blade traps. Yeah, that is a good idea. Enemies in hard-to-reach locations or defensive positions, and different types of monsters working together. Love that. Okay. Creating random encounter tables. I mean, you've got to just be inspired by something, haven't you? Really? I think that's more inspiring than even these tables. You look at a stat block or a monster and think, oh, that's cool. That does cool things. How can I get a grill in there somewhere? Rather than being told, oh, you've got to have 1d4 centaurs, otherwise it doesn't make sense. All right. Chapter 4, Creating NPCs. Which is one of the first issues for DMs, isn't it? What sort of claws they have? Missing teeth, pronounced scar, missing fingers. Yes. This 1 to 20 should be 1 to 500. Because each NPC, like one has there's missing teeth man and there's bald man. Instantly, they don't need names, they don't need characters. Bald guy comes at you, missing teeth guy throws this at you, and you've got it in there. Everyone's understanding what's going on, and combatant number 1, combatant number 2, bandit 1, bandit 2. Bandit with bald bandit, missing tooth bandit, we're all over it. This is good. This is good. This also, yeah, this helps. In a sense of the description, powerful, brawny, strong as an ox, studious, learned, inquisitive. That for an NPC, you look over and describe some of those. The guy, your character, your players are on board quite quickly. This talent is great with children. This NPC sings beautifully. He's an expert cook. Yeah, could come up. Different ideals. I'm unlikely to dip into this book when I suddenly need an NPC ideal. I'm more likely to pick it on the fly, personally. Bonds. So yeah, it really is going into secrets, which maybe you use, maybe you like. Using a monster stat block, pretty much the same as your own character sheet. Low-level followers. A paladin might have a first-level paladin as a squire. A wizard have an apprentice. Since lower-level NPC party members receive equal party shares of XP, they will gain levels more quickly. It's just another thing to juggle, isn't it? I normally say if you have got an NPC like that, they level up at the same time as the adventurers. When the player who's controlling the NPC, which usually ends up happening, they level up together. Just wing it. Loyalty. I love the idea, and have had NPCs that turn around and go, do you know what? I've had enough of you guys. I don't like what you're doing. You saved my life earlier, but you guys are a bit crazy. I'm off. A patron is a contact who employs the adventurers. I've never done that. I've never had a job guy other than a job board and maybe a townsman, but an actual guy who gets you jobs, like a rep, business rep. That's an interesting idea. Hirelings, yes. You can hire hirelings to do things when you're not around, to run your business for you. Send messages. That's quite a good downtime thing that we've done in the past. A little potion business you've knocked up, more the finds that you find on your adventures. You learn the recipe for a better health potion that's going to outsell all the current health potions. And then you give your NPC a cart and you say, while you're off adventuring for the next week, they're off to which cities are they going to? You tell me where they're being sent. Okay, you make this amount of money. It's good. Villains schemes. Oh yeah. That's more in detail. Fulfill an apocalyptic prophecy. Prolong the life of a loved one. Yeah. All good. That's useful. That is good. It's just a good refresher for me to think, there's something about that in the DMG that I can pluck out without having to think too much. Villain's weaknesses. The villain is weakened in the presence of a particular artifact, kryptonite. The villain is destroyed if it speaks its true name. That wasn't hard, really. The villain falls when an ancient enemy forgives its past actions. Okay, we fill in there. Okay, the Death Domain, one of my absolute favorites. In Strahd, Curse of Strahd, there's a guy. I'm thinking about whether I should say it. There's a guy in it, and I made him a high grave death cleric, and he was so cool. He was about level 20. He had this Dreadlord thing. What was this? Oh, wasn't it? That's not good. That's not so good. But some of the things were. Like, what was it? Oh, that's Paladin Oathbreaker. Right, Improved Reaper. Yeah, the spell can cast 2. The spell can instead target 2 creatures instead of 1. Necrotic energy on the weapon. Yeah, that was it. I was looking at the wrong thing. So yeah, it's some really awesome stuff for a Death Domain cleric. Adventure environments. Never use this either. Okay, so this is just give a reasonable gorge, jungle, swamp, island. I mean, it's just, yeah, words, really, isn't it? Buried in a sandstorm, on a demiplane in a pocket dimension in the Shadowfell. That is good. If you get a literally dice roll a random adventure, that could be quite fun. Who created the dungeon? A beholder, hobgoblins, lich, cultists, religious groups, which they bloody love. Dungeon history? Who cares? Not this guy. Yeah, I thought D&D was all about drawing maps like that, and it kind of is. But I mean, properly drawing them all out on paper, mapping a dungeon. Opening a secret door. Set the DC according to the difficulty guidelines. Secret doors and I have this relationship where I want my players to find the secret door, like really want them. When I started off, I used to think like, right, if you don't find it, you don't find it. But that has led to the game coming to a dead end practically, and I'd be like, oh, there's a secret door. There's bound to be more secret doors. Or if the players like only exploring a third of a dungeon when there's 2 other full thirds that are out there, and it's like, you're not going to get to the end if you don't go down those 2. So yeah, secret doors, mine are semi-secret doors, and I normally look to the passive perceptions of my players and kind of throw them a bone. I'm like, oh, you tell from the scrape along the floor instantly that something may be hiding another way. Green slime, yeah, brown mold, green slime, and yellow mold. All are quite good. I didn't sell that very well, did I? But yeah. Is it the brown one? Yeah. When a creature moves to within 5 foot of the mold, it makes make a con save and then does 4d10 cold damage. It's immune to fire. And brown mold is immune to fire. Any source of fire brought within 5 feet of a patch causes it to instantly expand outward in the direction of the fire, covering a square. Green slime is dex save, and it's sticky. It deemed acid damage, and then yellow mold is poison damage. Yeah, just spores, horrible, yucky, asbestos-y spores. That's cool. I wish there was more things like that for us to play with. Wilderness is, and travel between adventures is one of the hardest things that I have encountered while playing. Let me just show this comment from my friend. I've set up secrets for some main NPCs, but still yet to use any of them. None of the NPCs in my game are yet to dig deep enough to find any of them out. Yeah, it's a case of having these things in mind and not placing them down, don't you find? Like I mentioned with secret doors, it's a case of they're not there to be discovered as much as you want them to be discovered for definite, so that they feel like they've discovered it. You know, you give them it for them to discover it. It's the best way. So you do kind of let them off with not finding stuff. It's that balance, isn't it? Yeah. All the preparation and the cool stuff, it's no good if they don't find it. So, yeah, traveling is what most people struggle with, and normally between start A and start B, finish B, I would say 2 things, sometimes 3, sometimes on the road encounter, on the road problem. Oh man, the bridge is out. You know, how are we going to get the wagon across this bridge? Do we have to really have to go around by another day? Or you do there's a well. There's no reason to go. I'm not saying that anything else is going on, but you see a well, and a well seems to entice players. Well, why would he mention it? Why would he mention there's a well? And something can come out of the well. Something can be hiding behind the well. Something could be waiting for people to go close enough to come out from behind a tree and push them in. A trap? I generally don't know. And I generally wait for the player to act before I then think, oh, how can I do a thing? Net? Is a net underneath them all? You know, someone up the trees and they've not looked up, but they're just going to get peppered with arrows? I generally don't know. But the whole well kind of scenario, you know, the bridge is out. We know we have to get across it. The bridge is it's an ambush, or there's bandits who are saying pay the toll or you're not going. They're obvious and they're good. But there's a monument. There's a monument at the side of the road. There's gravestones. There's writing all over it. I got no idea what it is. But that's what's cool about it. I really enjoy those moments because I'm imagining it, and then they say, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to come up and take a brass rubbing of this thing. And then I'm like, okay, you take a brass rubbing, so later on I'm going to have that exact pattern come up and you're going to notice it. You know what I mean? I make it up as I go, and then it makes me look clever later on down the line for a start. And it's just between adventures, between, you know, proper story beats, it makes things more interesting, I would say. So yeah, call attention to unusual terrain like a waterfall or rocky outcropping that offers a breathtaking view over the tops of the surrounding trees. Yeah. There are some online things that you find on the road, tables like D100 stuff, and they're only a sentence or 2, but they really do help. So that's quite easy to find, because otherwise it's like, well, I don't know, hills, innit? Rolling hills, road after road, and then you camp. But don't forget, you're not the only one. I have done a classic. I pinched this from a podcast. I don't know if I mentioned it before. I've done this about 3 times. A woman is at the side of the road. Her car has broken down. Her wheel has come off, and she's like, "Please, can you? Sorry to bother you. I'm heading to town. Can you please help me? I just need some strong men to lift it up." And generally speaking, it's not a trap. No. They help the woman. Thank you so much. I've got apples. I don't know. I've got 5 silver. Oh no, it's a pleasure, ma'am. It's a pleasure for helping you. And they go off. She's lovely. Then 3 guys on horseback. 5 minutes, 10 minutes down the road. Have you seen this woman? And the guy's very brusque and very, come on, speak up. Have you seen these people? This woman. Have you seen this woman? We're looking for a woman. And it's like, oh, don't like these guys. Authoritative, bit narky. And it's up to them to say, no, actually, no, I didn't. Not seen it. If I see any woman like that, yeah, I'll tell you. Why? What do you want her for? She has. She's carrying 3 dragon eggs. She's stolen them, and suddenly, she was the bad one, not these guys on the horse. It's which way you want to play it. Do your characters, think, oh, dragon eggs? Do we want those dragon eggs off her? But then again, what would she want to do with them? It's a bit of a switcheroo, because they should be nice to the nasty people. They should be kind of nasty to the nice girl. I don't know. I like that. Mapping a wilderness. Don't think it's necessary. Do not think it's necessary at all. I think you just make it up in your head. You do as I say, the dots, the dot to dot. But we have some monuments here, which actually, ruined or toppled obelisk. A great stone arch. Faces carved into a mountainside or cliff. I mean, they're actually quite rubbish, to be honest. Weird. Oh, let me just turn my slow cooker off. There we go. Where were we? Weird locales. A boulder carved with talking faces. That is good. An ancient tree containing a trapped spirit. I like that. Permanent pole. That's just wishing well. There we go. A wrecked ship, which might be nowhere near water. Now, isn't that interesting? If that's the case, you can put goddamn anything up in trees. A crashed airship. That's been done before. And instantly, you've got, how do you get up to the crashed airship? What lies in it? How and why did everyone die from a disease? And you go in there, you've got the disease. Is it full of zombies? Who knows? Wilderness survival. Weather. I do like to use some weather just to remind people that weather is the thing, particularly on long traveling days where you're like, day 1, you come across a bridge, right, blah, blah, blah. You stop and camp. Who's on lookout? Okay, no encounters on that, you're fine. So you wake up, it starts to rain. And I like to imagine them having to put their hoods up and hunkering down and having conversations under tarpaulin as they're traveling. And right, you speak to them. That's what I want you to. And I like doing that. Just to get through this period of the game, you have to talk to them for like 2 minutes. Extreme cold is obvious. DC 10 con save, or you gain a level of exhaustion. Extreme heat is also similar, level of exhaustion. But level 1 of exhaustion is pretty lame because it's just abilities. skills and that, innit? Ability checks. But if you're having to move a fallen tree out of the way, blocking the road, and suddenly on a hot day with exhaustion, not so easy. Especially when this area is bandit country, or there's an ogre that's obviously raked its claws down a lot of the trees for the past half a mile. High altitude. Yeah, can't say I've ever done that. Wilderness hazards, desecrated ground, frigid water, quicksand, razor vine, slippery ice. None of that. Done none of that. Foraging. I normally just do a good old DC 15 survival check. Then I roll D6 for how many whatnots you find. And then we're back to settlements. Okay, this is a bit more like it, but if we're going to do settlements at the beginning of the book, this is what should have been in there. Tavern generator. Surely that is one of the initial things we need. Everyone knows that taverns are massively important, and a tavern generator name generator, even the Silver Rose, the Gilded Wolf. Yes. Upper class, gambling den, brothel, raucous dive. Yeah, all taverns should be different to some degree. Some should have pit fighting. You know, when it gets to a certain almost closing time, it should be getting emptier, but more guys are coming in and like all seem to know each other. And then they get a bit of a nod of the head, and down a trapdoor underneath the bar, you've got a fighting pit where your players, your strongest fisticuff players, can go down and basically do skill check sort of thing, you know, have your roll against their roll, who wins. It's the first to win 3 rounds. That can be much fun. Shops. I guess a list of shops could get you out of a few seconds pickle. Map in a settlement. No. Don't think that's that important. All right. This, I think underwater combat and suffocation was the first time that I came to the DMG and thought, oh, isn't that interesting? That's useful. Which is kind of the years ago's inspiration for this here video. Me thinking, what else is in there that's kind of cool? I've never run an undersea adventure because I mentioned earlier I have a thing about being underwater. And even though I look at this picture and I start to kind of want to hold my breath. And so I don't really do underwater stuff. Weird, isn't it? Shipwrecks. I like the idea, but actually, you know, the Sky. I can't wait for Sky Zephyrs, because that Homie and the Dude are doing the proper airshippy lifestyle, and it's being done properly. My guys wanted an airship, and I had to get extra supplements online to be able to do, because all it says is, well, it costs 20 GP, 20,000 GP. And I wanted more than that. A little tiny bit of ship repair. There's just not enough. There are extra supplements, which I now use for that. So, okay, traps. Because obviously it's called Dungeons and Dragons, and dungeons are massively important. But I still do feel that this portion is very much a hangover from older D&D, when it really was properly dungeons. considering now we're in space and stuff, you know. Collapsing roof is a classic, and I like that it explains how it works. The tripwire is 3 inches off the ground and stretches between 2 support beams. Spot it with a 10. A successful DC 15 Dex check using Thieves' Tools disarms it. The ceiling is above the trap is in bad repair, and anyone who can see it can tell that it's in danger of collapse. What's the damage? 22 average damage. See, average... I don't know. If it's a large enough area, you're either under it or you're not, and it hurts either way. Falling... I've never done a falling net. It's ridiculous. Fire-breathing statue. Yes, done that. Cone. 4d10. Again, 4d10 fire damage. And if you're wearing clothes, I would say it's an extra d6 every for like 2 or 3 rounds after, unless they use an action to stop, drop, and roll. Oh, pits. Yeah, absolutely. Hidden pits. Locking pit. What's a locking pit? A trapdoor covers it and is spring-loaded. Ooh, yeah. And doesn't say that it fills with gas, but I'm immediately thinking fills with gas. Fills with a flammable gas, what about that? And then a little flame strike a light. Spiked pit. I mean, we're on Tomb Raider here, aren't we? In Indiana Jones. Rolling sphere. Poison darts. Sphere of Annihilation is a beautifully evil bit of kit that annihilates, frankly. Between adventures. What do you do between adventures in your long story? Now, this could be you've travelled from city to city, I guess. Yeah, downtime activities. I don't think it's like between campaigns. It could be. But this is more when you're like, look, you've got some downtime now. You know, you've got to this town. You need to find some information. What are you doing while you are here? Temples. Religious types should be saying, I'm going to pray. I'm going to talk to, you know, the local religious types myself. Downtime activities. Building a stronghold. Now they're bringing back this campaign, aren't they? Bastions. This is going to be in the new DMG. I look forward to, not running like 2 books, but in between having all the adventures. You go back to your hub where you have your hirelings from earlier who are looking after it, running a business. These bastions get bigger the more money, wealth you get. They can have pubs, you can have businesses running out of it. I love the idea. So I will be doing bastions. Building a stronghold, an abbey, a noble estate, a temple, a trading post. Carousing. You regain consciousness in a strange place with no memory of how you got there, and you have been robbed. You are caught up in a whirlwind romance. Yeah, you could like Dragon Heist is effectively one long downtime between other adventures. It's all very town-based, and yet still fun. Selling a magic item. Rumors. Training to gain levels. I have been asked before, can I learn this new skill, or can I become proficient in a skill that I am currently not in downtime? I say yes. All I really want from them is them to say every time it's night or downtime, right, I'm going to spend 3 hours doing that. If they do that enough, I remember and I think, oh yeah, you didn't just ask it and then it's a give me. They actually have to make out like they're always wanting to do it. Random treasure. Treasure is obviously a big part of this. Gemstones, I've never been keen on because all that happens is, oh, you've got 5 gems that are worth 10 GP each. All right, I'll put 50 gold on. That's what happens with us. I'm like, well, no, you've got gems. You don't have the money yet. You've got to go to a town, find someone to buy them, and sell them. That might work once or twice. It gets old pretty quick. I'm just like, look, next time you're in town, you've got your 2,000 gold. And there's opal, and there's sapphire, and there's pearl. How much is it worth? How much can I have for it? Art objects. Now, in a lot of books, it's like, oh, there's this tapestry, and if they bother to take it, it's worth 200 gold. You're not going to be carrying handfuls of canvases back to town. Not in my game, anyway. Magic items are cool, I grant you. Attunement. What do we think about attunement? Does it say what it's in a short rest? Without becoming attuned. Right. Attuning to an item requires a creature to spend a short rest, focused on only that item, while being in physical contact with it. The focus can take the form of weapon practice, meditation, or some other appropriate activity. If the short rest is interrupted, the attunement attempt fails. I would not be that nasty, to be absolutely honest. I think that is a bit of a... Well, it's up to you, isn't it? It's up to you. Cursed items. Also another class. Sentient. It doesn't say sentient, but I'm thinking sentient. Yeah, a lot of items can give you some cool curses, which we might get some tables for later on. Yeah, I'm not a fan at all of roll 1d8 times on Magic Item Table C. I did it once. It was a pain up the backside. Mixing potions. A character might drink one potion while still under the effect of another. Oh. Unpredictable interactions. You can roll. Okay. Let's go 27. Both potions work, but with their numerical effects and durations halved. Only one potion works, but its effect is permanent. Hey, that's good. Never knew that was in there, hence why this video was worth it for me. Scroll mishaps. When a creature tries and fails to cast a spell, must make a DC 10 intelligence saving throw. The spell affects the caster or an ally instead of the intended target. The spell affects a random location within the spell's range. The spell activates after 1d12 hours. Oh, that'll be funny for a spell to happen like Magic Missile or Fireball to happen in the middle of the night. That would be good. Magic item formulas. Wands that don't recharge. A typical wand has expendable charges. If you'd like wands to be a limited resource, you can make some of them incapable of... Yeah. You can increase the base number to like 25. Well, yeah. That's interesting. Who created it or was intended to use it? Creator or intended user. Elemental water. Lustrous fish scales replace leather or clothes on this item, and metal portions are instead crafted from seashells. Hey, that's a great little description. What's this drow one? The item is half the normal weight. It's black and inscribed with spiders and webs in honor of Loth. Loth, even. Loth was a character in my game. That's good. It's very, very much pre-prep. I think the DMG is not set out in such a way that I can find things easily. For some reason, I'm quite good at finding things in the PHB. Maybe that's down to usage, but there's just some odd tables in here. I think we need, from the next one, an easier way of finding this stuff. I think the contents and the indexes, the index I'm thinking of, are particularly bad in these books when you try to find stuff in game. But yeah, someone's done their work here. Metamorphic. The item periodically and randomly alters its appearance in slight ways. The bearer has no control over this. Yeah, it's worth creating a short list. Oh, here we go. Bloody magic table from A to B. Yeah. These tables wind me up. And it's the start of a damn long section of table after table. 1 off table 2, 3 off table C. Yeah. And then we have the actual A to Z. Now, there's a lot in here, and I really appreciate the pictures. The apparatus of Qualish, for example, is in Dragon Heist. Animated Shield. Oh, no, that wasn't what I thought it was. But yes, look at that. Lovely. For inspiration, 10 out of 10. But this should be a book of its own. A bag of holding there. Bag of beans. Yeah, it really needs to be its own thing. That's pretty much all I've got to say on the next bunch. Deck of Many Things. Obviously, we've just had this newly re-released in a much, much better way. This was considered extremely dangerous for our players. Oh, Avatar of Death's even got its own stat block. Yep, I have been known to look in here, but I tend to not. Have we gone too far? No, we've gone still on potions. I mean, it has to be somewhere, but the Wand of Wonder. Now, I have a terrible habit of pulling magic item cards at random, and they are game breaking. But hey, that's just something I like to do, and my players get the benefit of it. Sentient magic items, definitely something I've done and regretted quite often, realizing that I now have an NPC extra that has to say things all the damn time. We don't need to sample sentient objects. Artifacts with minor beneficial properties. Only just last week I had to look for this table and couldn't find it for bloody ages. There are better ones online also. And I find this really lazy. As 51 to 60 above, except to spell. No, it's only a short table. You should have written new things for that. Detrimentals, same deal. Destroying artifacts. I generally say they can't be destroyed. They're magical. They're amazing. The Book of Vile Darkness. 3.5, I want to say, had its own entire book on this, and my son is obsessed with this, and the Eye of Vecna as well. Iron Hand of Vecna. Orb of Dragonkind. Very cool. And there are very sort of few artifacts to go around. I guess that's the strength of them, though, that there's not many. Blessings. I guess Charms is probably next. Yeah, Charms. All quite cool. I had to award Charms at the weekend, and it was like, there's not many to choose from, is there? Medals? Never even considered medals. Titles? Yeah. Epic Boons. This Epic Boons is the way to go beyond 20th level for sure. XP wise, I think it's every 30,000 XP after level 20 is when you can choose an epic boon. I believe I've said that off the top of my head correctly. But that's how me and my son did it. What we got here? 3. Finally, the rules of how to play. Baffling why this is right back here. Respect, have snacks. It even says in the rules, you must have snacks. Dice rolling, rules discussions, metagaming. The DM wouldn't throw such a powerful monster at us. Yeah, exactly. That, you can't avoid that. When you play DM for a long, when you play D&D for a long period of time, you get used to it, you know. But then that's why you trick them. You let them have that thought and you rip the carpet from under them. As soon as your players think that's going to be a mimic, that's going to be a trap, this person's lying to me, you trick them again. And then when they get used to that, you turn the tables yet again. Always keep them guessing. The only time a chest is a mimic is when new players are playing. On about session 3 or 4, there's a mimic. And then you won't see mimics again for a year. And then there's things like map mimics, door mimics. Yes. They are cool, but they should be used infrequently. New players. Some DMs rely on die rolls for almost everything, which is unnecessary, isn't it? If it's impossible, you don't roll the dice. Ignoring the dice. One approach is to use dice as rarely as possible. Some DMs use them only during combat and determine success or failure as they like in other situations. Yeah, I've had people, well, if I'm a rogue, I'm going to jump from rooftop to rooftop, I rolled a 1. It's like, you could. You're not going to fail it. Of course you could. You know, so that might be a bad example because falling on your face is funny. But some players are like, I've lockpicked so well all the time. How am I going to now be outdone by this halfling barbarian? Yeah. So I guess sometimes you do have to fudge the rolls then. New players find D&D difficult enough without all this dense stuff that they end up buying because they get told the DMG is so one of the 3 necessary books, and it clearly isn't. If even I'm baffled at a lot of this, but there's some good stuff in here, but it could be watered down to such a small book. However, for my money, variant rules of any kind I always find quite intriguing. This one being, sometimes the randomness of a DC 20 roll leads to ludicrous results. Let's say a door requires a DC 15 to be battered down. A fighter with a strength of 20, basically knackers it. Under this additional rule, a character automatically succeeds on any check with a DC less or equal to the relevant ability score, -5. You've lost me. It's maths. I know it's -5. Yeah, wing it. That's my my answer to most things, which is what you become happy to do. I guess D&D has its structure for what you should do. And let's be honest, these are all suggestions. It's a book of suggestions, nothing else. And then you just wing it. A reward for victory. When do you award inspiration? Yeah, I've awarded it for like people who like one at the weekend. I didn't award it, but it went through my head. I had a player stand up and give a speech, and it was an important speech for him, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. And normally, if someone does a poem or something, if someone that really jumps in with both feet, definitely, I will give them inspiration. And I've done about these variant inspiration rules in my shorts before. Oh, travel pace. Travel pace. I have never used. Are you moving at a slow pace or a fast pace? You were moving at a fast pace, so you didn't see the giant in the trees. Stupid. Yeah. Now, players tend to want to like skip days. You're like, oh, look, it takes 3 days to get there. Can't we just like skip that with there? But I do the thing I said earlier. No matter if it's 4 months, it's like you leave, there's a thing 1, there's thing 2, thing 3, and then you're there. If it's really that long, I might do 5 things in the middle. But they're not all combat. It's scenario A, scenario B. Catwoman. It's you find a person buried up to their neck in the road. Please, they've got like honey smeared on them and there's bumblebee. You know what I mean? You don't know where it's going to go. Just random stuff. Visibility outdoors. Noticing other creatures. Not fussed. Tracking. Oh, tracking other creatures. That's just a survival, isn't it? Look for tracks, investigation. But I saw this before. Yeah, this could be interesting. The DCs for soft surface, such as snow, a bare stone, or a creature left a trail, such as blood. Yeah, in a very rare occasion, these tracking DCs could be of use, and I like again. It's the inspiration rather than the DC. I used to really sweat as my first couple of months buying this book and learning the game. How am I going to remember the exact DCs? You know, reading the modules. It's DC 12 strength athletics rate star down. Oh no! What if I don't remember? It's 12. Man, doesn't matter. Don't get caught up on that. You make so many mistakes as a DM, and as long as your players don't know you've messed it, it don't matter. And when you're just making it up, you can never be wrong. Now, I'm a fan of this. I've never ever used it, but I've always been really on board with the way that when people are trying to persuade or charm, more likely, or deceive, intimidate, persuade, as it says above, you've got friendly creatures, you've got indifferent creatures, and you've got hostile creatures. A hostile creature won't go from, no, I'm not coming on your quest, you're a bunch of idiots, to, oh, yes, I am coming on your quest. No, what happens is it goes from hostile to indifferent. It doesn't go hostile to friendly. Now look at this from hostile, right? DC 20. The creature does as asked, as long as there's no risks. or sacrifices are involved. A DC 10, the creature offers no help but does no harm. Much more interesting, realistic, etc. Friendly creature's reaction. The creature accepts a minor risk or sacrifice to do as asked. You know, that's good. Obviously, charisma. Using your voice for role-playing. Well, yeah, that helps. Experiment with different speech patterns. For instance, a barmaid and a city magistrate probably use their words differently. Similarly, peasants could speak in earthy dialects, while rich folk talk in haughty drawls. Let a pirate NPC say, "Arr, mateys," in your best Long John Silver voice. Let intelligent monsters, unfamiliar with common, stumble along with awkward grammar. Let drunkards and monsters mutter with slurred speech, while lizard folk hiss their threats. I mean, yes, absolutely fine. Stereotypes are to be used to get it in the players' heads of what the hell's going on. Object ACs are on the DMG on the dungeon. Oh God, the DM screen, and I barely ever bother with. Hit points of an object. Pull it out of your backside, man. Just make it up. If they hit it 3 times, the big chunk of wood, let's hope it breaks. I don't care. The only time I care, right, is if the bridge, like I mentioned earlier, is down across the ravine. We're going to have to build a bridge. Okay, well, there's a tree there. Well, I chopped down the tree. And you don't, what? How long do you think it's going to take to cut down a tree with your short sword? I'm not giving it hit points, but I'm giving it time reality. Think about how long would it take you to cut down a massive tree and then turn that into wood that would be nailed, where are you getting the nails from, into a bridge, you know? I don't care about hit points. I care about sense. This is on a DM screen. Improvised damage. Again, I feel that this is old school D&D, where these things were wonderful nitty-gritty, but things have been simplified even more than this. I feel like I'm contradicting myself, or I'm about to contradict myself, that we need rules for things, and some things we don't. Some things need loads of explanation, like the planes of existence, and some things don't. You know, some things, magic items need an entire book dedicated precisely to that. And I would buy them all. I don't think we need the object AC for Mithril. It just doesn't it. Now you can see where this has gone, like hex maps and square maps for the old school way of doing things. I don't think anyone works with hexes anymore in my circles. I obviously know that people will have stayed with old types of game, because, you know, some people still play old D&D. Oh, this will be 5e. This day and age will be old, won't it, eventually? Chases. Right. Running a chase. Yes. This is good to use. This is useful information. And I will tell you why. The chase complications, which are on the next page. Chases happen. And this is how I have run them. Usually the bad guy, gets a head start. Now, I know my players can run 30, move 30 feet or whatever to dash it. Let's say it's 60. So I will always start my enemies at like 80 feet away. So even if they dashed and they're not quite within range. And then we go to the chase complications. Let's go number 1. A large obstacle such as a horse or cart blocks your way. Make a 15 dex, whatever the DC is, but yeah, 15 is usually what I do. Make an acrobatics check to get past the obstacle. On a failed check, the obstacle counts as 10 feet of difficult terrain, slowing you down or slowing the first guy down. And then we've got excitement. We've got, that. I like that. The ground beneath your feet is slippery with rains or spilled oil, or make a dex save, or you fall prone. And these things make that tension of chase so much better. These are absolutely stellar tables. Yeah, design your own table. You can do. Absolutely can do. Mapping the chase. Now, I normally, these, right? I'm just having it on a long area of these old things, what are like yin. And even though it's going through a town or whatever, they're simply going in a line to find how far away they are. So when you've caught up with them. Mapping the chase. Siege equipment. Never have I ever used any of these other than look up what the hell's a ballista. I go on Google and think, what's a ballista again? What's a halberd? What's a trebuchet? But yeah. Diseases, sewer plague, never used it. Cackle fever, never used it. Sight rot, nope. Poisons, yes, I've had people make poisons. What was it? Rogue assassin? I guess that makes sense. Never bothered with prices, but yeah, you could have somebody, a character or an NPC who sells these, because now that it has a price list. That's quite good. The Wyvern poison. Now, when you find a druid's shop in like Waterdeep, you could have this as side quest material. Look, if you go get me some Wyvern poison from the teat of a wyvern, it's not where it comes from. Don't comment. But that's an adventure right there. Midnight Tears. Is Midnight Tears a plant? Does it say? Don't know. Maybe it does on the next page. Midnight Tears. What the heckington? It's going to say I'm excited. Truth. Venom. Midnight Tears. A creature that ingests this poison suffers no effect until the stroke of midnight. Yeah. Not what I thought, but yeah. All right. Another classic. Madness. Going mad. Various magical effects can inflict madness on an otherwise stable mind. Certain spells, such as Contact Other Plane and Symbol, what the hell's Symbol, can cause insanity, and you can use the madness rules here instead of the spell's effects. Yeah, it does come up in other campaigns where you have to roll on the short-term madness, long-term madness tables. Let's look at this. Short-term madness. The character retreats into his or her mind and becomes paralyzed, literally lollygagging. The effect ends if the character takes any damage. 1d10 minutes. The first short terms are 1d10 minutes. The character is stunned, falls unconscious, becomes frightened, starts babbling, and is incapable of normal speech or spellcasting. That can cause a right nuisance, and that's why it's great. Long-term madness, 1d10 by 10 hours. This is great this I think as a DM is good stuff. The character regards something, usually the source of madness, with intense revulsion, as if affected by the effect of the antipathy sympathy spell. All right, that were a bad one. Character's blinded, deafened. The character experiences uncontrollable tremors or tics, which impose disadvantage on attack rolls because of shakes. Yes, but that's for a certain amount of hours. That could be, you know, for a game session, 2 game sessions, from some dodgy drinks they had, or a weird monster that slime got on them. Indefinite madness. We're getting into Call of Cthulhu territory here, where you actually have a long, long madness. I keep whatever I find. I am the smartest, wisest, strongest, fastest, and most beautiful person I know. There's only one person I trust, and only I can see this special friend. That's fun if it fits. Okay. Milestones are a very easy way to keep your characters balanced, all your players happy at one go, and calm. But with or without XP is up to you, and XP can be given by certain. Well, we know there's a chart for a start. There's a chart for a start, and yeah, you can. I have done XP gaining where I literally have to look at, as we looked at earlier, experience per day for each adventurer. And then, well, who roleplayed? Who do you roleplay more? I'll give you more because you roleplayed. You got a final kill, and I had this little chart of final kill gives you 500 XP. And it does Murder Hobo make. And, but you don't want to punish the characters who aren't confident enough to roleplay or don't make good decisions or roll badly. So it's difficult. If you want to push roleplay for a session, I would say, today, guys, those who roleplay most get most XP. Next time, those who explore more rooms of my dungeon, or go in head first, stuff like that. What you think's lacking, you make that the reward. Dungeon Master's Workshop. Alrighty then. I mean, that's standard character building for what level the proficiency is on. Skill variance. Proficiency dice. Okay. This option replaces a character's proficiency with a die, adding more randomness to the game. Instead of adding the flat normal proficiency to an ability check or whatever, the proficiency die table shows which die to roll. Oh, let's look at the table. That's the table. Okay, that's what I couldn't see because of this little. I've got an icon on my screen that you can't see. 9th to 12th level, you'd add a D8. I would like to literally use that in a game and see if my players liked it. I don't know how that would. I really don't know how that would go, but it's interesting. Hero points work well in epic fantasy. With this option, a character starts with 5 hero points at first level, and each time the character gains a level, he or she loses any unspent hero points and gains a new total equal to 5 plus half the character's level. You spend a hero point after the roll. It allows you to roll a d6 and add it to the d20. Hero points, I like it. Oh, yeah. This is also good. On top of your normal ability scores, you have 2 more, Honor and Sanity. That is exciting. If your campaign involves cultures where a rigid code of honor takes place, then the honor score can also reflect how other players perceive a character's honor. Honor can't be raised with normal ability score increases, instead based on the character's actions. You might call for an honor check when a character is being unsure of how to act with honor, surrendering while trying to save face. Does he do an honor saving throw? That's good. Sanity score. Deciphering a piece of text written in a language so alien that it threatens to break a character's mind. Sanity saving throw. Seeing like a beholder, for example. Making direct contact with the mind of an alien creature. Yes, that is branching into Call of Cthulhu. If that sounds good, that's what you should be playing. Slow natural healing. Characters don't regain hit points at the end of a long rest. Instead, they spend hit dice to heal at the end of a long rest, just as with a short rest. The optional rule prolongs the amount of time that the characters need to recover from their wounds without the benefits of magical healing, and works well for grittier, more realistic campaigns. Yeah. Gritty realism, firearms, gunpowder, dynamite. All sounds quite exciting. And then alien technology. I've always found alien technology in D&D to be like, oh yeah, of course. There is laser rifle, 3d8 radiant energy cell. Yeah, I forget that you literally could have proper laser guns. It just doesn't seem right. There's even a picture of a laser gun. Hither. Plot points. Allow players to change the course of the campaign. Each player starts with a plot point. During a session, a player can spend that plot point for one effect. The effect depends on your group's approach to this rule. You can increase... Right. What a twist. A player who spends a plot point gets to add some element to the setting or situation that the group must accept as true. For example, the player can spend a plot point and state that his or her character has found a secret door. An NPC appears, or a monster turns out to be a long-lost ally. So they can literally DM for a second. Only a second, god damn it. Yeah, the gods must be crazy. With this approach, there is no permanent DM. What? Using plot points... if you spend a plot point, the player's character becomes an NPC and play continues. It's probably not a good idea. So you swap DMs. Yeah. You literally, every time someone does a plot point, there's a new DM in town for the next hour or two. I've done shorts on this initiative variance, side initiative and such. Action options. You climb onto a bigger creature. Yes, I normally do an athletics check, and it does say athletics or acrobatics here. Disarm. I've literally had people ask if they can chop an arm off, and I say, if you roll high enough over the AC, not a problem. Mark a target. That's like Hunter's Mark. So that's what that's for. Overrun. Oh, literally running into a character, running into an NPC. Yeah, shove aside. Tumble, knock it over. Lingering injuries. Love lingering injuries. Lose an arm or a hand. Lose a foot or a leg. Limp. Internal injury. When you go down on 0 hit points or you've been crit and stuff, there should be something, at least scars, like this minor scar here. It requires 6th level or higher magical healing because it's a nasty scar. Like that. Massive damage. So, if you've been felled by massive damage, the creature is stunned until the end of its next turn. The creature can take reactions and has disadvantage. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I like that. Maybe stays down for an entire round, but you're stable. Morale. It goes all Warhammer with morale. You know, creatures running away and how brave they are. Modifying the monster. I mean, there's not as much to that. You just decide on what you want it to be. You can modify a monster's attack and keep the damage the same as a normal weapon. You know, he's like, oh yeah, it hits you with its 4 hands, but still does the 2d6 weapon damage it would have done. You know, or you can say, no, it does more damage than it should because I decided it does. If people get bored of like, say, oh, here comes the same old monsters, and I know how these monsters hit and what they do, so they like to be surprised. They like a goblin not to go down as easy as they thought it would. I also think like with dragons, which are the coolest thing, obviously, in the game. Think about all the dragons that have eaten adventurers. And those adventurers could have magical rings on, magical pendants. It's inside its belly. I say it automatically attunes to it. And so you can have your dragon do whatever you want and explain that it's got a magical item somewhere in its stomach. I'm sticking to that. Monster stats by challenge rating. As we know, challenge rating breaks down. I would just pull your punches. That's the easiest way of using monsters that you shouldn't be using, is to go, oof, my players are dying. Okay, I'll pull it back a bit. It don't matter if you've got 4 level 1 characters and you're fighting a big dragon. Now, if it was an ancient dragon, it'd be a bit stupid, but like a cat when it plays with a mouse, it could just kill it outright, but it toys with it. It could just be like that. It could just like mess with the players, and it doesn't have to be, oh no, adult dragon, that's it. We just have to do this thing and we're dead. No. You die when I decide you die. Do you know what I mean? This bit seems like a lot of nothing. Save DCs, using tables, speed, flying monsters. I've never liked the flying speed being the same as a walking speed. Never really understood that. I've always thought flying speed should be what I think. The hell is this page? Never seen this page in my life. I've always thought that flying speed should be double walking speed. There, I said it. What is this? What actually is this? Let me just look. NPC stat, what? NPC stat blocks? Right, okay. Name, aggressive, example monster, orc. Effect on challenger. Ah, no. Absolutely unnecessary. But I appreciate that you've tried. Oh, all right. Oh, yeah, okay. This is good. Aarakocra, dive attack, talon attack, speaks Auran. Hey, this is like a quick cheat sheet. Yeah, that's good. For beginners, that should be right way back at the beginning. Monsters with classes. Hey, that's another thing. Like dragons in all other editions are spellcasters. Why are they not spellcasters in 5e? I mean, they have that bit of a breath weapon, but they should do proper spells. They should be more formidable. Creating a spell, it says. Creating a spell. Creating a magic item. Yes, there should be so much more rules for this than just these few pages. I want in-depth, how do we craft a magic item out of all the things we found while adventuring? Amulets, rings, put them all together. Can you put this ring on a sword? How much will that cost? Can I trust you to do it and not nick off and steal it? Sub races, ASMR. Modifying a class, changing proficiencies. I'm all for people saying, I want to do a druid, but I don't want it to have the whole beast forming thing. Wild shape. I want to do something else entirely. And being like, yeah, it's fine. Spell point cost. Oh yeah, my son was about doing the spell point variant in this very next game. Instead of gaining a number of spell slots, you gain a pool of spell points instead. What do you think about that? 4th level, 6 point cost is 6. Oh yeah, different. Like yeah. So a 9th level spell would cost 13 spell points, and you spend them as and when you save them up. And I like the idea, and I look forward to seeing how he manages with it. Random dungeons. Yeah, there's so many free dungeons already made. I don't think we need to have this sort of thing anymore. It's overwhelming. Even for inspiration, I don't think I've ever found anything that sticks me to this stuff. With media nowadays, you can think of who would be in a town and who's in a dungeon. Trap severity. Yeah, you wouldn't do it all random. Dungeon dressings. Yeah, now I do want, what do we find? Things that we find. A rotten rope, a sword blade, flask, wall scratchings. That is good for any place, not just dungeons, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I have books for this anyway. I have at least 2 other books which give me long lists. In fact, I've downloaded things which are much easier to use, to be honest. I mean, we don't need monster lists by environment. That's what the monster manual is for. And Kobold Press's version. And challenge rating, yes. This should be in the DMG. I will allow it. And as much as I love this art and thought I would use it, I never have. But a windmill. I would say that could be very useful. I have run a windmill before. This map also always appealed. I thought, that's what I thought. Oh, and then never did anything with it. But fair play to the artists. Overwhelming or what though? Just overwhelming to run. How you would explain the character's way around that. So many of these kind of maps online for just inspiration. I actually do have a big, it's airships actually, both sides, but these were really useful. Having a boat, a map was good. Love the whole caves thing, but this is why I like the Loki battle mat stuff. It's all done for me. I just randomly flick to a page. Are we really at the end? I think we are. The index, I really struggle. When you're looking something up, right, look, here we go. Creating a multiverse. See also creating a campaign. Well, why don't you just tell me those numbers? You know, tell me the correct number. When you sort of like look up grappled, see restrained, so you see restrained, see incapacitated. Why don't you say see incapacitated? It sends you on a wild goose chase. Well, guys, I think we'd be done. It is a reasonably good book, but I do hope that this second one. Oh, I've got some comments to go through as well. I do think that this second version of the DMG is going to be better from what I've heard. They've listened to us nagging all this time, and yes, hopefully I'm going to be impressed. Let's see what Master Dungeons. Now, because I was in the other screen, I didn't know I had comments coming up. Nope. Only allow death saving throws on any they're trying to capture and make a statement. That's what their intentions are. Let them miss things. You think so? I've run Dragonlance siege equipment. All right, yeah, because I was talking about how I never use that. It's very handy for that. As for diseases, once a party has a paladin, they're useless. Yes, I've definitely had that where I've been like, oh no, you've got this cool curse, you've got this cool problem. Does lesser restoration? God, I just cure you. I just cure you. Don't worry about it. You poisoned? Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah. Don't know what that was. In Fizzbands, it gives you lists. Well, I do plan on going through other books like I am doing this one because I enjoyed it, and it helps it go into the old noggin. In the core book, it gives you how many spells dragons can have. Yes, it does. It says it as a variant, doesn't it? And I got shown that by my son when I was complaining about the fact that dragons should have spells like the good old days. He goes, it does, sir. It does, sir. So I was corrected. That was talking about dragons being casters. Yeah, okay. Dragons are casters. Yeah, that is cool. Dragons are still one of the best things in the game. And I rarely need to use a dragon. Which is good, isn't it? Sparingly is surely much better. But I want them to be super deadly. I want you to be up in the late teens to even attempt it, you know? And I find that when you've got a party of 4 strong characters, a dragon struggles sometimes. But minions, isn't it? That's where you bring in minions. You bring in special cool traps. Like a beholder. I've spoken about beholders before. The whole lore of a beholder is that they are constantly paranoid, thinking about every possible way that you will come and attack it. So every time you fight a beholder, you should be able to counteract whatever the players are doing. Oh yeah, I burst in this way and jump on its head. Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. It moves out of the way. Unfortunately, the mechanics don't particularly allow for that. But it should. It's based on the charisma modifiers. Yeah, I believe so. I believe it is. Now, I often remember at the last time that dragons can also speak. This is another thing. I'm like, oh yeah, dragons are hard enough to run with all their clever things. You know, and when you read like the monsters know what they're doing, it's like dragons attack from the air as far away as possible, leaving your little short rangers to be like, I've got no long range. I don't know what to do. Yeah, there's plenty of other monsters that could be big bad bosses. But Beholders and Dragons are the ones that have clouded my mind at the moment. I will do this for other books. I mean, I hope that somebody watches this eventually. Obviously, you get very, very little on the live time, but I will do some more of these just because I want to. Early game, I ran a Deathlock. A Deathlock. Let's hold yourself right where you are. This is some. You can do this on a live stream. No one gives a shizzle. Death Knight. 47. Come on, fingers. Death Knight. I had a Death Knight. It is this. Deathlock. Deathlock. All right. What's a Deathlock in? You're right. What is a Deathlock in? I'm going to just 1 sec while I do a thing. Deathlock 5e. Stats. I go to that, and then I'm going to go to share. Stop that screen. Present. Deathlock. And in 1 second, when I get the thing up, yeah. Oh, come on. Oh, it's in Modern Games. Hang on. Deathlock. Right, I'm going to have to... Okay, I'll do that. Agree and proceed. Hang on. Right, now I'll go back to you, and I need to... Oh, you are seeing it. 5e tools. Why are you not seeing 5e tools? Present. Share screen. Deathlock. You want the mastermind version? Okay. Oh, what's this rubbish now? A Deathlock. Check that you are looking what I'm looking at. Yeah. Undead. Right. Resistant to necrotic. Oh yeah, things that aren't silvered. Yeah. Immune to poison, fairly standard. The Deathlock innate spellcasting abilities charisma. It can innately cast detect magic, disguise self, mage armor, chill touch, eldritch blast, mage hand, arms of Hadar, hunger of Hadar, invisibility, spider climb. Has advantage on saves, yeah. +4. Reprinted as Deathlock in Modern Canon Presents. Oh. So it might not be in Tome of Foes. Yeah, I have Tome of Foes. What are we saying here? Multiverse. Monster Multiverse. Yeah, yep. Let me look in Modern Canons. Ooh. Thanks for hanging on in there. Deathlock Mastermind. Deathlock Mastermind. All right, we're learning from our community here, which is cool. Okay. This is what... Where are we going? Deathlock. Skeleton dude. You know, a bit like a mummy. A Deathlock Mastermind has an AC 13, but 16 with mage armor. Goes through the same spells. Right, where it gets different is it's yeah. Sorry, I'll show you a comment. So when I ran mine, I had it in a cemetery that was unhallowed ground, and with the hallow spell, I made all undead resistant to radiant damage. Oops. So its actions, it's got a Deathly Claw +6 to hit, 3d6 +3 necrotic damage. Then it has Grave Bolts, which are a range attack +6, 120 feet, 1 or 2 targets. Interesting. 48 necrotic. If the target is large or smaller, it must succeed on a DC 16 strength save or be restrained as shadowy tendrils wrap around it for a minute. That's good. A restrained target can use its action to repeat the saving throw, ending the effect on itself on a success. And there's even a Deathlock White. Yes, they look good. And there's even rules on there customizing it. Yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one. But yeah, final bosses. They're out there. They're out there. But when you've had campaigns with monster and combat, deciding on the final one, it's got to be good. And I do want to get to a point where I'm running like Tromacratis from Mythic Odyssey of Theros and stuff. You have to kill it 3 times. It has like 3 hearts to beat. It's great. Not for the adventurers. Yeah. Basically, their story is when a warlock dies, their patron brings them back as an undead thing. Well, guys, my throat is drying up after talking myself for 2.5 hours. Yeah. Thank you for anyone who popped in. Thank you for anyone who's watching on the replay. Please keep commenting. I do reply. Have a conversation. And who knows what we'll be looking at next weekend. I think I'm free next weekend. Keep an eye on the channel. And look after yourself. Thanks, guys. See you later.